Good day, good rising, and good skyscraping. They um they started telling us about it, haven't they? Uh, an announcement in the UK, 50 million limited scope project to test the viability of aerosol injection to dim the sun. I think I saw an article that said 66 million in the US also, but I didn't dig deeply into that. But also a project to do some solar dimming. They've been doing it for decades, right? And more intensively it seems, in the last 20 or 10 years. Although I've obviously only been paying attention in the last 10 years. So it's like Karen said to me last night, do you think that the moon has always been visible in the daytime? Karen Petit of the Sun and Moon channel. Yes, it's always been visible in the daytime. That's the way the system works. It's just that we weren't paying attention. Because today I can still talk to people and say, hey, look, there's the moon. Oh, in the daytime? We're just not taught to look at that. We're given explanations for skyscrapers, the condensation, the steam that lingers. It's unlike the steam from your kettle, which would dissipate into the surrounding atmosphere. This, incredibly, because of the temperature that we know is cold, but you can't test this yourself. Just trust that it's turning into ice crystals, light enough to stay up in the thin upper atmosphere or mid-atmosphere, but dense enough to kind of become an entire, cloud of. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine like your kettle? I suppose if you left your kettle long enough in a sealed room, which of course we might be in, you could get the roof to steam up. Anyway, that's not the purpose of my conversation, although I notice that RFK Jr. Was asked the question about aerosol injection on a Dr. Phil show yesterday or the day before. And he said, well, that's not my agency. I believe that's DARPA. And we're gonna do something about that. Now I am, I'm perplexed as to how it is that the government, an element of the government, could be doing something that we agree is toxic. And I've been talking about this for years, so I can't pretend that I've only just heard about this in the last 100 days. And you have to have, if you're in the semi-truth or truth community, you have to have your head deep under some rocks not to know about the chemming. I mean, the same is true with flat earth, right? Which is why the controlled channels, don't touch it. They don't kind of see, okay, let's seriously research what these folks are saying, because, us in the 9/11 or us in the V or the contrail thing, we know that we're seen as kind of, conspiracy theorists and fools by our friends who refuse to look at this stuff. Now, perhaps I need to not be the same kind of fool myself and research this diligently and really try and understand what these people are saying, rather than just, as you might have seen if you got a chance to watch some of my 8-hour marathon in Speaker's Corner, on Sunday. You might have, people will go, wow, I lost my thread there. Maybe it's this view. It is pretty stunning. Maybe it'll come back to me. apologies for that. But I hope you got a chance to watch some of it. It was pretty enjoyable, actually, and save for one or two moments, I was really got a great opportunity to be instructive. I'm not suggesting that people walked away going, oh, I'm flat earther, but this is, I guess, the point is that these truther channels are not giving FE fair crack. We know that. And when I say controlled, I don't necessarily mean that they're on the payroll and always were, like perhaps some people who have been or are involved in the FE awakening. Sometimes that control is simply a business-minded approach. Like if I'm David Icke, and if I touch this one, if I genuinely go there, there's no turning back. Water's always going to stay level, at rest. Must be pooled. Must be contained. There's no going back. So they know that, and they also know that flat Earth is something of, if you're into me, for most people anyway, if you're into making money from the truth talking, then flat Earth is a bit of a no-go. It's a bit of a buzzkill and an invitation killer. There's a festival we went to with Dave Weiss and his wife, and Ian Leahy, Dave Murphy, Martin Leaker. There was a bunch of people, Matt, of course. There's a bunch of people there who were representing Flat Earth last year at the Sounds Beautiful Festival, and those people do not want to talk to us. I'm not saying that if we had the money to buy ourselves a stand there or whatever, we couldn't do that, but I think we were treated as persona non grata, like we were entertained because probably Dave and Ian had paid for or know the organizers, and it was an inside job in that way. But inviting us back, giving us an even more significant platform. Martin spoke there. Dave Weiss did speak there. Did Ian speak there? Maybe. A couple of guys said to me in Speaker's Corner, "You're so erudite, well spoken. You should be doing more of this, on the social channels." And maybe that time will come, but as at now, I'm happily walking through these fields and nature, the song and stuff. I have to say, I spent part of being in London for Speaker's Corner on Sunday was a 10-day spell in very cramped, very noisy conditions, and really get you to appreciate the solitude or the stillness of nature. I mean, obviously it can sometimes be a bit of a riot, but and sometimes cold. But right now, it's glorious. It's springtime. Nature is doing its thing, despite all those dirty lines up there. Funny how they say, in this one article I read was they're thinking of using commercial airlines as a way of dispersal. They're thinking of doing that. It could save them billions because they wouldn't have to wait for the craft to be built and buy such craft. They could simply piggyback on existing commercial activity. Wow, I wonder why someone didn't think of that before. Someone did think of that before. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Nathan, the airline pilot, ex-airline pilot, well, I shouldn't identify him by his job title. He's a living fractal of all, in my view, as are we all. He came up with something interesting the other day. I'm really trying to get him to come, trying to get you to come, Nathan, and have a chat on Friday. Maybe not this Friday, but a Friday, when we gather with Andrea and I, and have a chat about some of these interesting and esoteric nuggets that you've been uncovering. One of them was the Jupiter. I might have heard this before, but Jupiter and Zeus. I don't know if I have, but the Jew of Jupiter. I mean, I've always said Jew-Peter, the Jew Peter, which is, you know, the Bible guy Peter. He was a Jew, of course. Interesting. The Jupiter and Zeus, which are Roman and Greek deity, and the amalgamation of Jupiter and Zeus comes to Jew Zeus or Jesus. So, is Jesus an amalgamation of Jupiter and Zeus? And he goes deeper than that, and I'll keep it short now, but it's something that we'll talk about in due course, I'm sure. You know, it's one of those tricky subjects. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to upset people, believe it or not, really. But if it's not aligned, then I must walk in that truth of all I'm trying to do is express what I believe on my heart to be God's, or the Creator's intention, and sidestep or navigate the deception. Because whether you believe in Satan and the 1,000-year reign, I did talk about this on Sunday, or whether you simply think that it's some kind of nefarious archonic thing, or that it's just greedy old guys in leatherback chairs creating all sorts of stuff, it doesn't really matter. The fact is that it's happening, and it exists in every fiber of the fabric of this pseudo reality. You know, and I don't even know. I can be absolutely sure. Oh no, I know I can't be absolutely sure of what really we're doing here and why we're here. I have my theories, of course, and as to theories as to why there is such intention to derail or mislead, and mislead with intent, by the way, because you know, it's not like they go, okay, well, you found us out, we'll let you post your content freely. In fact, we'll try and help your content go viral on the YouTube and other, and we will close down, or we will step back from all of these other institutions of control that we have gained over you. No, there's none of that. There's the doubling down. Yes, when they need a hero, we will provide one in Elon Musk and Donald Trump and whoever else, Greta Thunberg. I was reading some comments in the comment section of the articles on the skyscrapers, you know, and it's a mixed bag, but the majority of people don't know that it's been ongoing, I would say, and those that come across it go, oh, you shouldn't really tamper with nature. But they're not like, one guy's comment was like, but this is because governments are too scared to carbon tax us so that we don't move. So rather than just preventing you from creating, forcing you to net zero, to carbon zero or whatever, they'll go, well, we have to take this other action. So too bad. You didn't stay in line. You didn't you didn't reduce your carbon footprint to nil. You useless eater and breather. Therefore, you shall have to suffer the consequences of strontium, barium, aluminium, and all sorts of other things. But in fact, because they're so benevolent in the governmental department, they will give us both, really. They'll give us our 15-minute cities, our digitally tracked minutiae, step-by-step movements, so that we can be as green as possible at the same time as solar dimming. I mean, who would have thunk it? I'm still with this idea that the solar panels are part of the agenda. There is to reflect heat back into the sky. That's man-made climate adjustment. It's just a theory, but anyway. So yeah, that's that. I'm gonna drop this down. I look forward to connecting with you on Friday. I just want to say thank you to the guys who sent us a donation, some support. When I looked at my computer again on Monday, or my email on Monday, it's like, oh wow, we got sent 40 quid, and 4Jacks, 40 quid. The name, I'm sorry, is not in the head right now, so I'll mention it again, but I appreciate it. And 4Jack sent us a couple of coffees, so I appreciate that, mate. Thanks again, Matt, and Tony Whitcomb, and Mark. Yeah, Mark Swabrick, thanks, bro. Muchos gracias, as they say in some part of the world. What else is happening in the world? I will mention something that I noticed this morning on a short video, that Trump and the other actor, Zelensky, signed a historic accord yesterday, in which Ukraine, now this actor is basically the puppet, handing over the keys to the vault for the rare earth minerals. So I when I first heard this some months ago, that there was all of this deep value, this mineral value that was so significant, it like quickly fell into place. I thought, okay, so this is why, or a reason why, this whole "we've lent you 350 billion," lent or given or whatever, in the first year, oh, we're just doing our bit. Now it's like, no, we, this is so mobster. Now, no, it's 350 billion you owe us, and yet my sources in the, shall we say,
the dark element, or the dark side of military. Tell me this, and they're not conspiracy theorists, although there really should be, that when America, for example, announces on the BBC that they've just agreed $6 billion in aid for Ukraine at a moment in time, right? Oh, now they're under more pressure. They need $6 billion. Of that $6 billion, maybe as much as $1 billion will actually make its way to Ukraine. The rest of it will be in the form of like militaria. So like they did with Angola in the war that I was in. They would send Angolans, the Russians would send the Angolans via Cuba, it's all historical fact, they would send them in the hundreds of tanks, hundreds of armored vehicles, dozens of high-tech, very high-tech, cutting-edge anti-aircraft missile systems, and all sorts of things. And now, much of it, there are some exceptions to this, but much of it is from existing stock. In fact, in my case, unfortunately, most of what was sent to Angola to face me and my compadres was like 1960s technology. The T-55, the T-56, the T-64, I think, and or T-60, I forget now. So these are old stock, some of it. I remember we captured one tank that had only 600 miles on the odometer, which is the distance it had driven from Luanda, the capital, to the front line, and there it died. But it was 30 years old or whatever at the time, or 25 years old. It was old stock that had just sat in a warehouse, which the Russian, military really don't want to do anything with. Maybe turn into a museum piece, but they don't want to do anything with it because they're investing in the T-72 at that time, or the T-80 was coming along. So what they do is they say, right, well, we'll take, say the tank armors department say, well, all right, we can send out what we consider to be, $500 million's worth of rubles of tank, and then we will take the actual cash that you told the populace that you were giving to the Ukrainians. We will take that cash and invest it in the new technology, whilst offloading the old technology, you see. So when they talk about we've given them 350 billion, I can assure you that it wouldn't even be 100 billion that actually went to Ukraine itself. The majority would have gone into American military complex, industrial complex, and then yes, the scraps and the old stuff. Some new. I'm not saying it's nothing that's new technology. And even when it is like, well, that's a $50 million plane we've just sent you, so that goes on the book. And so basically you're just moving your military stock around and getting paid for it, stuff that you bought on the basis that you might use it or might not. And here's this bonus bonanza day. Now you can say, well, you're on the line for $350 billion, Mr. Actor Zelensky. So now you, and this is why he was always brought in, will fight against it. You will be heroic. We will embarrass you like you've never seen a politician embarrassed in the O-ring office, and then orifice, and then after a period of time, we'll pop the Pope, and then we'll have a little gathering around his mannequin. So, and then we'll say, you know, this is it, the deal is done. So it's that long story is I wonder whether, you know, Russia, because already I heard Trump say this a few weeks ago, or maybe back then, a couple of months ago, that, well, you know, Russia has gained back that territory, which, I mean, I don't have a dog in the race. It seems to me that the people of those regions, from what I've read, which might be missing, the people of those regions have voted and have expressed a strong desire to be within Russia rather than part of Ukraine. This is the sort of the rim, you know, we're talking maybe 100 or 200 miles in from the existing line in the sand. So you know, I think that the plan was, yes, you'll get back Odessa, what do you call it, the Crimea. You know, we'll acknowledge Crimea, and you can have whatever's there, and we'll acknowledge the Donbass or Donbass. You can have that, and then we, on the other hand, will get the other part of the country where the minerals are. I might be wrong, and on this, in that the largest deposits of the rare earth minerals are within the contested areas. If that be true, then we're definitely heading for, you know, that confrontation that we've been talking about more than 3 times. So, you know, that I mean, in either case, I still think that these plays are creating the tableau by which all the intelligent historians and readers of the Times, Sunday Times and the Telegraph and the New York Times, they need to be able to look you in the eye and say this, and believe it. This is the reason why we went to, you know, conflict. This is the reason. There was just cause. There was reason why we had to Pearl Harbor, Gulf of Tonkin, etc. There was reasons why. And you say, no, but it was designed all the way back. These guys were never at loggerheads. Look at the Antarctic Treaty. Look at how, you know, the ISS is or was serviced by Russian, you know, rockets. You know, also laughable. Like some guy said to me in Speaker's Corner, you know, if the Russian craft was docking with the American thing, they'd have to have shared all the schematics of everything to kind of make it all work. Anyway, that's also. What did I write on chalk? NASA is fantasy. No, it is all fantasy. So, anyway, I think I will, I'm holding my phone and my arm's getting a little tired. Keep it stretched out here. Yeah, I'll keep it short. This wasn't that short, but I hope you're well, and tomorrow is Friday, so 7 p.m. GMT. No, not GMT. Hope to see you there.